All right. We are now recording live. We don't have
Mm,
to start talking about anything serious right away. Like I said, just
sure.
practice run, and so I'm just going to state what the goal is. Right there. Okay, there you go. Keep
Yeah,
flashing.
sorry. I've actually got to use this opportunity. I might, since she's upstairs, I'm gonna upstairs headphones and put the power strip back on. Yeah.
Word. Great, great.
So let me know if you get any feedback.
Okay.
Okay. Make sure we stay connected here. With the power going off on us. All right. How does that sound? If you want to do a test, see if you get any feedback come through when you talk.
Hello, hello. Test.
Hello.
1, 2. There is an echo.
Okay. The other option is I do have a laptop which wouldn't require the headphone jack to be used. I'm using my iPad right now, so.
All right. Well, whatever you think works. The headphones weren't bad.
Yeah, I just had the little power thing went on, said I only had 10% left. So I'm gonna just switch.
Oh, right on. Okay.
Such technical difficulties at the moment.
Take this opportunity to clean up the background a little bit.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so now I'm gonna get into Zoom.
So you liking Asheville? You loving Asheville? You ready to get out of Asheville? What are your thoughts?
It's hard, man. I mean, I've taken a very different course here than most people. You know, I've been really hunkered down and singularly focused. And I've been, by and large, I've been kind of like absent from the larger community. And there's some personal reasons and stuff for that have, just been part of my process. And I've been through a very strong like hermit phase being here. And also just like singularly focused and doing my best to kind of like rise above the I don't know, that the struggle of Asheville,
Right.
And there's been benefits to that. I've learned a lot. I have a lot of skills in terms of like creating an organization now and making it like troubleshooting it and getting it to work. And I take care. I mean, everybody contributes. It's not to sound like egotistical that I provide for everyone, but I am doing the work to bring the bulk of the energy in terms of resources in for like 15 people now. So,
You know what your human design is?
I am a splenic projector.
Okay.
But I haven't looked into it too deeply to know a whole lot more than that.
Okay.
And I think Earth is a manifesting generator.
Okay. Now, is that what your professional relationship represents? Is it like she's generating, she's coming up with these visions and doing this work, and you are helping to project the work she is doing, or is it the other way around?
I think I kind of I'm like the visionary who's like, okay, guys, here's the big picture. Oh shit! Oh, that was close. Here's the big picture, and Earth puts a lot of the energy out. I mean, like, dude, she in the very early stages had like, I mean, her work is phenomenal, man. And like every single person that comes to see her, like 90% immediately will go out and buy like a package session deal or, you know, rebook immediately. And I mean, it's really like her love for the clients that is like driving a large part of the financial ability. I've been more like, you know, it took me a little while to get going, and, you know, and I've had, oh, we got time to, here we go. Sorry about this. I'm getting the
I
other
don't know. It
computer
sounds
set
pretty
up.
sweet, actually.
Okay. What do I gotta do here? I know what I gotta do.
Well, those are some badass effects, man. I like it. I didn't know we were going live. Live! Split screen. Sound effects and all.
All right, there we go. I am on to the computer. The headphones and the power are plugged in. There should be no more interruptions on my
Very
end.
good.
And I might have muted myself while I was talking, but yeah, it's really has been her approach to her practice and care for the clients that has like driven our ability to get past just the two of us in a tiny office working together and get to this point that we're at now. And then the other part of that is, you know, I've maintained some regular client relationships, but I've really been a little bit more sporadic with my practice, and you know, for various reasons related to having a lot of administrative duties, of needing to take a step back from trying to put all the hats on at once and be the organizer, be the therapist, be my own person. You know, it's been a little bit more choppy for me in terms of like consistency in my practice, because I can't do 20 hours of body work a week and then another 40 hours of administrative stuff. It's just not possible to merge both of those things sustainably. And I've had highs and lows with that. I've had some health challenges with that, physical, mental. And that's really like, you know, without getting too much into my own personal stuff, like I got involved in all of this project while I was still like partially living in my van, partially cleaning Airbnbs, and like moving from like basements to van to crashing at Earth's house, all this stuff. And then a ton of fucking crazy emotional, psychosomatic, spiritual unfolding was happening at that same time, through various things like the craniosacral therapy and beyond just like receiving treatments that were like opening me up to some of the deeper patterns that I was personally going through. Some of the stuff related to my spiritual journey was also bringing that stuff out, and basically just like while taking these really intense like entrepreneurial hustle while also dealing with Asheville housing crisis stuff, all my fucking childhood trauma started coming up at the same exact time. So the past like 3 years, I've been like, oh shit, the balls are running. I'm involved in this organization now. I'm responsible for keeping these things going while also trying to take care of my clients, while also processing and managing how do I deal with this new landscape of like having retrieved pieces of my own self. How the fuck do I live like that? And then, you know, relationships, close relationships took a backside, because when you're dealing with some of that shit, you know, like therapy and all that is great, but it's hard to bring that up when it's happening to you and starting like a new relationship, building deep relationships with people and friendships and everything, being like, hey, this is where I'm fucking at. Like I had some shit come up from my childhood, and every day is a struggle for me right now. So,
yeah, let me sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
First thing is just a technical thing. Can you move the camera or the screen a little bit to the other way? A little bit more. Good, right there. All right, because my screen is like right here, and like there's me right there because I made it a little bigger. I don't know how it shows up in your end. I have no idea how any of this is going to show up. So, you know Nick Bryce?
Nick Bryce. I don't think I've had the pleasure to meet him, but
okay, he is somebody that when 3DL first started, when the vision for 3DL first came, he was one of the people that Spirit put directly in my path. And he was this young guy. I think he was like 19 at the time, and he was putting on this event called Wampapalooza in Michigan, which is exactly what it sounds like. Wampapalooza. It was like a 3-day electronic music festival with a lot of womp, a lot of dub, and it was good. It was a great event. He did a good job, and then we ended up working together. He ended up coming from Michigan to Asheville with me, Asheville, North Carolina, and as soon as we hit the ground, he blew up. Like his heart opened up. It was like this giant leap of faith from, before that he was still kind of under the grip of his parental units. He was still not trying to find his footing in the world. And then all of a sudden he goes from, this one community and the culture to this complete other community and culture that is, he gets turned on to like star seeds and the Galactic Federation and all this shit that just blew his mind wide open and blew his heart wide open. And all of a sudden he's like, who am I? What are we? What is this? How do I? All that at the same time. And it short-circuited. I'm not going to say it short-circuited him because he's fine. But it's like someone just turned on all the water pressure. And even though he was built for it, it was overwhelming. And he ended up going off on all these different adventures and all these different experiences that sound very similar to what you're talking about. And a lot of people do. But here's the thing. That's one of the ways that you can, I believe, because the same thing happened to me several times. But I think that's one of the ways that you can legitimately tell that what you're doing, that the work you're doing and the path you're following is legitimately your calling, because in a way it's like college. You get out of high school and you think you know what college is about, and then you can go to college and you can mess around and party all the time, or you can put your nose to it and you learn so much, but it's so overwhelming and it feels like you have 15 books on one side of you and you have all these reports to write, but then it gets easier and you get these patterns, and now he's a homeowner in Detroit. He's running a business. He has a job. He's putting on events. He's doing a spiritual practice. But it's taken a number of years for that balance to, because it's like you're 3D, 5D. What in the world? Look at all this. It's like trying to come back from a DMT experience and being like, I want to stay there the whole time, dude. There's so much to see. I want to experience it all, But then you come back and you're like, so, yeah. So I feel you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're great, dude. You're in good shape. You're never, and I do this for a long time. If I compare myself to what I want in my life, I'm never going to be happy, ever, 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 because I'm always wanting it. I'm always living in that. Oh, I don't have it, so I must not be who I'm, supposed to be, and then I hurt, and it's just silly. It's just silly. That's where what I really fucking love about the whole Ram Dass be here now focus and just whatever, all that stuff. Yeah, dude, that was an emotional experience just telling you that story. I was like, oof, that took a lot out of me. That felt good.
Yeah, well, yeah, totally, man, and that's been kind of the thing, dude, because I have to bring up Ram Dass. There's a little part in Ram Dass Be Here Now that's got a picture of Mayor Baba in it, and that's been part of my whole journey. Like, I have no background or context for Indian spirituality whatsoever, but ever since that whole download of Mayor Baba came into my existence, like that's a lot of what has been fueling this, like the spiritual side of these experiences. And I'm not exactly sure how to package that for other people just yet. I'm going to have to like slowly unveil the stories, and I'm not sure that right now with you is the best venue for it, but essentially, like, without searching for it, without trying to do psychedelics or anything at all, like, I had an extremely vivid past life experience triggered by a photograph that I saw in the library of the Merit Baba Center in Myrtle Beach, where I was there. I was in India and someone in the 60s. He's up on the stage. There's crowds of people around me. We're looking at each other and all this psychic information comes through. And I stood up from that table. I'd seen this picture in a little old like mechanical viewfinder that like, you know, was like the 50s or 60s way to represent like a 3D picture. You put your face in it and you see the layers of the photos. And that picture took me there. And, you know, it was like, okay, cool. Like there's something about this that I need to download. I need to understand that about, you know, whatever we call it, 5D or multidimensionality or whatever it is. But clearly it's not like confined by the known metrics of like 3D reality where it's like, oh yeah, time and space, linear, like I move the physical object from here to here. It's like, okay, fuck all of those rules. You're in India and it's 1963. Here you go. There's an experience for you. And I got up from that like I had seen a ghost. And all the people at the Baba Center were just like, oh, don't worry about it. This happens sometimes. They all came and embraced me. All these complete strangers were like, oh, you're so special. You had this experience. And ever since then, it's been kind of trying to integrate that whole conception of like, okay, like if that is true in terms of like ideas of spirituality that people have from intentional communities and you know, things that you've had a lot of speakers and presenters at your events and things of that nature talking about these higher dimensional experiences, you know, what is spiritual oneness and all of this stuff. It's like, okay, how do I live like that every day? And the true awareness and understanding that like that's what the reality is, that like you and I here talking, we're the same thing, you know, and integrating that, like seeing the divine in everything.
Yeah.
Which is like hard to grok.
You said, you know, how do you incorporate that and everything? I think that is what you just said. You know, when you said that, the way what kind of occurred to me was that stuff, the spiritual aspect, it's like the fuel that goes in the car. Like our bodies are the vehicle, you know? And this isn't anything new, but it just hit me when you were talking. And the spiritual aspect is kind of like the fuel and the navigation system at the same time, you know? So it's kind of like the spirit is using this vehicle to go where it needs to go. You know what I mean? So it's like the fuel and the navigation system. And there was a big ant on my floor, a big pretty ant. It's a big carpenter ant. It's like that big. I'm just watching it. It's just chilling. It's about 3 months ahead of schedule. I don't know what it's doing here, but that's all right. I'm in Michigan, so there's a big carpenter ant on my floor. I don't know. Hold on, I'm gonna get him and see what he's up to. Show you him.
Sure.
Oh, there he is. Check him out, just out of nowhere.
Wow, yeah, it is a big guy. We got the, what do you call them? I don't know what their actual name is. We call them like soap bugs. They're like the ones that always end up by the kitchen sink and stuff. They're just everywhere, man.
Yeah. He's still there chilling. He tried to pinch me, so I had to get him off my hand quick. All right, so, yeah, brother. How long have you been, you know what's really cool is, I don't know if you can see, but down here on the corner, wherever your screen is, it says Appalachian Guild of Health Arts.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, cool. Nice. Oh, it's because I'm probably signed in with Google.
Word.
Yeah, cool.
So that's there. We can brand that. I'll just say it again. The Appalachian Guild of Healing Arts.
Yeah, thanks.
The Appalachian Guild of Healing Arts. We can make a little jingle for it.
I'm into it, man. Yeah, we tend to get a little bit silly every now and then. I've got a friend who makes amateur YouTube videos just for fun, and yeah, we had him do some like holiday promo stuff for us one year, and he's laying on the massage table going, you know, I got punched in the back by an elf the other day. I figured I'd come here to the Appalachian Guild of Healing Arts. Figured they could fix me right up. So
punched in the back by a elf.
Yeah, it was
That's
like
awesome.
the Christmas time last year. He does a Christmas special, which is really just like very low budget footage of him standing in the snow, singing carols and visiting friends and filming them in like small roles and stuff. He had me pretend to be like a shaman, and I had like all my my parkas and all my hats on at the same time, and I was going ho 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 because he's the interview canoe, and so he was like, oh, I lost my canoe and I've got to go.
Uh-oh. Screen's frozen. What's going on? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, cool. That was, every once in a while the screen freezes, so I might ask you to say something again because I might have to splice it together. But you said he was the interview canoe.
Yeah, and it's it's our friend Zach. It's very like small time. He didn't end up really doing much with the project, but
You had fun with it.
it's just fun. Yeah, it's fun
Yeah.
fun stuff to do. I mean,
Have you ever realized that I'm sure you have, the acronym for the name of your place it's actually the Agaha?
yes.
All right, cool. I'm sure you have. It just sounds so cool. The Agaha.
Hmm.
There we go. All right. Turn it into a mantra. Let's look it up. What does Agaha mean? Agaha means
Hmm.
blah, blah, blah. Everything. It means it all. What do you
Well, the
want?
ah is supposed to be the sound of the heart, you know. So
Mhm.
that's, I guess, you know, I don't know if you could really add what the consonants would mean to it, but
That's cool.
yeah.
Agaha. Very good, man. So, you've had a pretty interesting week with things.
Mm-hmm.
Whole CV-19 coronavirus.
Right.
It's the world's tripping out right now. You know, rightfully so, or unnecessarily so, depending on people's perspective. I'm not here to say one way or the other. I just know what I'm choosing to do. You know, I'm not going to judge anybody for what they're choosing to do unless their choices affect me or people that I love.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And you pretty much decided to cancel all the events for the year, right?
So here's what's up. I only had one scheduled, and that's in October, the 1st through the 5th of October. Um, I was going to make an announcement about the 3DL 2020 Vision Gathering, plug. Um, I was going to do that on April 1st. Josh Smith is working on some artwork right now. You know, we put together this team of awesome people. This is our team of our staff. This is our people who have wanted to lead workshops and be facilitators. I said want to, that doesn't mean they're going to. And more of that's coming in. So now what I'm doing is I'm in this place where I'm just observing, and I've let go of any deadlines. You know, I'm not saying, okay, we have to have this done by this time. We're still using those goals as guidelines, though. And we're going to act as if by October 1st through the 5th, we're all good. We know how to handle it. It was just a flash in the pan. And if it's not if we need to not host the event, we will. You know, what I'm saying is we won't if it's a detriment to anybody, if we put anybody at risk. If it seems like it's not a good choice, we just definitely won't. You know, we'll relay the message some other way. You know, and that's where the emergence creative space comes in. You know, just gives me an opportunity to put a lot of that energy into the emergence creative space that I would be putting into 3DL. Or if we find out that it's okay for smaller groups of 150 or something like that, if there's a way we can contain that or manage it somehow, then that's what we'll do. You know, we'll take a look at what's good, and we'll do kind of like maybe a series instead of one big event. Or, you know, if everything looks green light go, then we're just going to have the most amazing experience ever. What I believe is going to happen, this is the vision that I have, is that what's happening right now is it could become this situation where a lot of these people get sick and possibly die. You know, the numbers are there. I don't know what numbers to believe. I don't know what story to believe. I just know that taking all things into consideration, it's like this. It's impossible to find the solution to a math problem if you don't know what all the parts are.
Mm.
You know, if you don't know, what it is you're multiplying. If you just know there's a math problem needs to be figured out. So now, we're stopping, we're thinking, we're meditating, we're watching, we're observing, and we're figuring out what those equations are so that we can come up with a sum total and then make an assessment. I'm not about to try and make an assessment when I don't even know what the fucking factors are.
Right. You don't have all the data points.
Right. So that's where we're at. That's where I'm at. So I'm just telling everyone to, let's just keep working. If nothing else, we can come up with a program and a plan that is turnkey. That way, when we are ready, we just turn a key and the engine starts up.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. How is that? I mean, I from just being tangential and watching the story as I go, I mean, it always seems like it's close budget wise and everything to do these kind of events. How does that look as far as like people's motivation to continue moving, if that's a factor? I mean, does everyone seem pretty in high spirits about creating the
yeah, dude, something that's really, it's been awesome. Okay, so first of all, this event it's a benefit for 3DO because there's still debt that's owed from previous years.
Hmm.
And you say we come close. Yeah, we come close every year, but we don't come close and then realize we have an excess of money. We come close and realize that there's a budget shortfall, and it's averaged about $3,500 a year. That's an average. There was a year where I ended up owing 10 grand when it was all said and done, and a year where I had maybe $800 in the bank when it was all said and done. So it averages out. And I don't consider $800 being a surplus,
Right.
especially after 9 months of trying to promote something.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, that's the number one factor. Is this year is going to be an event benefit for previous 3DL participants, and everybody coming into this knows that. I've been saying that from jump. This is what we're doing. This is a benefit. So we're taking 25% of all income that comes in, and that goes immediately, directly off the top to paying down the previous debt. Then we're taking 50% of the budget that comes in from ticket sales, and that's what we're going to create the event with. So we can build an event of scale. I'm not booking any headliners, so I'm not promising anybody $5,000. The event space is going to be very affordable. The facilitators are coming knowing that they're contributing to this benefit because they love 3DL and they love the work we've done. They don't like the fact that I've done all this work and we've done all this work, and we're still in the situation. There's people that are getting paid. In fact, my goal is to make sure everyone gets paid. But and how that all works, there's a formula there.
It's very similar. That's why I asked, because it's very similar to the situation that we're in. Because it's been since the end of 2016. So this is the beginning of the third year into the fourth year for our project, and it's come at a lot of. We were talking earlier of my own personal sacrifice and working the grueling hours, sacrificing a paycheck, putting off my own desires and wants and needs to move forward in my own life. And we're trying to gift something to the world. Like, that's the difference with these projects. Like, we're not the people who are, oh, let me look at the bottom line because I need another few $1 million for my Ferraris and my yachts, et cetera, et cetera. But I've had to learn to balance all of my humanitarian and community aspirations and all of my giving with the fact that, like, some of these business practices and structures and hierarchies and all of those things are useful to keep organizations together, and provide that the work can continue. And we've struggled with that a little bit because it's been a little bit difficult to do both. I mean, we're service based, so like we generate the funds that we have by giving our service to the people who can you want your appointment right away, right now, pay the premium and come on in.
Right.
If you can't pay the premium and just book whenever you want, get in touch with us. We have, coupons, savings, referral program, and worst case scenario, if you need help and you don't have the ability to pay for this service as often as you think that transformational benefit could occur in your life, apply for the sliding scale. We've got downtime. We've got people who are willing to donate time or energy. And if we have the extra resources, we'll sponsor, like I pay my therapists, whether people show up or not, whether people pay money or not. And that's something that was born out of the fact that as a massage therapist in Asheville, where there's so many health practitioners, there's so many people with the hearts, maybe not the business acumen, maybe not the finance money mindset or whatever, that we get stuck working for other people in situations that devalue what we do, don't bring in the money that's necessary. And ultimately, it's going to take the entire, in my case, it's going to take the entire industry coming up and saying, hey, these are the high standards that we have for making sure our people get paid a certain amount. Right. We're not going to do Groupons. We're not going to give this away for $15 and pay the therapists some of those places, and not to be, ungrateful for the $15 an hour for the massage, but this is physical work and you can only do about 20 hours a week of it. You can't work 40 hours a week as a massage therapist. So we started our own studio because we saw these conditions in Asheville, especially with the tourist economy and the way those businesses operate. It's those people don't value the local community as much. They're there and oh, we can save another $50 on our vacation and we can get a longer massage and pay half as much, et cetera, et cetera. So we've been kind of working to combat all those things while also still being as amenable as possible to giving things to people away. And, we got to come up with internal structures, and there's training, there's building each individual person's confidence up to be hey, I feel confident offering this to you. I know what situation to offer the sliding scale versus ask somebody to pay the full price, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, so in this current situation now, when the social isolating and all these things are being recommended, and based on the data points that I'm seeing, what really influenced our decision to close our studio was I've been talking to a massage therapist here in North Carolina who has family and friends in Italy. He's an Italian-born, American immigrant, I guess you'd say. What I think we can call a known factor is that in other countries like Italy, as an example, the healthcare system is being totally overwhelmed, and they've put these quarantine measures in place to be able to say, this is the safest way to give us time to know who can be tested, who can't be. It's
like everyone's getting a timeout.
Yeah, which honestly I'm very thankful for.
Yeah, right.
Because I need the timeout.
Right. But the good news is that, and I'm not sure, I don't have a lot of the information, and I just have the essence of it, is that there are measures being put in place that are going to prevent people from being evicted or income, because people need to live, So I'm reading shit on the internet about, programs that are put in place that are going to, if you can prove that your business is being affected by what's going on, or your employment is being affected, then you can apply for this special kind of unemployment thing. And I don't know about it.
I've got the exact download on that because I just called the Small Business I don't know, it's the Small Business Association or Administration. It's whatever is on the federal website for disaster relief. And so the official disaster relief packages have not been released, but you can call the SBA and you can ask all the questions about how you're going to file it, what you need. They're going to ask for proof of taxes and, maybe a business plan or various other things about what you're going to do with the money. And where we can get socially and politically active with this is that the governor of each state has to request the financing from the federal government. And so all of us, because in the massage therapy world and, estheticians all includes, maybe acupuncturists, anybody that does one-on-one work with clients where that's a possibility of transmission if this thing is as bad as it is. Everyone's asking, should I stay open? Should I close? And you know, based on the recommendation and the long conversations I've been having with my new friend from Italy, you know, that seemed like the wisest choice. What I feel like, and this is for all the massage therapists and really any small business owner, even if you're like a craftsperson that doesn't have an LLC or whatever set up, like if you're just a sole proprietor and you like sell stuff on Etsy or whatever, if you're trying to do something to create for yourself and you're not just a W-2 employee or whatever, you'll be able to call the SBA, put in the request for the loan. I guess they'll forward those requests to banks, and you've got to meet some. That is, but like I'm surprised that a lot more. My internet connection's unstable, so I might tap out. But we'll anything you don't hear, just let me know, and I'll reiterate. I would phase right now is that people need to make the decision to, I feel, what we're doing, take a step back now, close preemptively, because if the data points are worse than we imagine, we're going to fucking regret it if it turns out that a client came and passed it in. We have an office building with 26 other offices. I can't control any of those other factors.
Probably central air, central heating.
Yes, exactly. So I can't control any of that stuff. So it's really not in my best opinion to try and stay open, because what if somebody from the hair salon across the way touches our door handle by accident, or, you know, whatever it is.
Or if one of your clients, you know, nobody knows if they have it.
Right. Because
you
the testing,
and I, you know,
yes.
Somebody could have it and not know it for weeks. How many people do you run into in a given week? Not now that you're self-quarantine or whatever it is you're doing.
Right.
You know, not many, but, you know, I live with someone that has an immune, a thing with their immune system. You know, she has MS, so she's on this medication that kind of turns off her immune system, because that's what MS is. It's kind of like the immune system attacking the body because it thinks that it's foreign, and the myelin sheaths of the brain start deteriorating. I don't know the science of it, but MS is, so she's on this medication. And so and I'm a cook, you know, my main gig, how I pay my bills is I'm a grill cook at a restaurant, a really busy restaurant. And so, the restaurant's kind of weird. It's like they have the kitchen grill. It's a small, like, country bar restaurant, but there's like the grill, then the little space where we put the food up, you know, the window, and then just the other side of the window is the sink where everything gets cleaned. So all the dishes that are coming in from the restaurant are being stacked up right there,
right next to the clean food coming out. It seems like
5 feet away from me. Yeah, inches away from like, well, maybe 5 feet away from the actual food that's being served. And there's people coming in all the time, and drivers are always going up. It's a busy ass restaurant, dude. There's like 5 delivery people on it all the times, you know. And so I had to make this decision, you know. Do I? Because here's the thing. I was so close to buying a car, you know, like a couple of weeks away from buying a car, which I've been saving for a while. And it's not a lot of money, you know. It's a couple $1,000s that I would have had saved in order to go buy the car. Now I have to use that money towards paying my rent, buying food, keeping my internet up, keeping utilities going. I have to pay a couple $100 to 3 different, not all together, not individually, to GoDaddy, service my website. And so there's a lot of different factors that are going into this. But how does someone, it's important, you know, more than the business aspect of it, I suppose. No, not I suppose, I agree. How would I feel if Bobby got sick because my car was more important than her? And my car is not more important than her. You know what I mean? And even if there's potential that that wouldn't happen, that she wouldn't get sick, which there is a potential that she wouldn't get sick. There's a huge potential. In fact, it's probably more in her favor that she wouldn't get sick than she would. But like we were talking about a minute ago, since we don't know all the factors, we can't do the math. We can't really make an educated decision if we don't have all the information. So let's, like you said, just be safe. Just be safe for the sake of your clients, for the sake of your community, for the sake of your beloved, for your own sake.
Yeah. It's a really hard decision because, in the very beginning of all this, I kind of joke about it. It's like, man, I found Alex Jones on the internet when I was like 15. Some part of my being has been prepared for some sort of shit hit the fan scenario just because of, even if it's totally crazy conditioning, like part of my psyche has had that information coming into it for like more than a decade,
Right.
So part of me is like, all right, it's go time. I've been ready for this. So, and I have my own intuitive practices that I use to try and, divination and various things, dowsing, muscle testing, which I always tell everybody, don't take me seriously, take me with a grain of salt. But if your intuition is telling you that I might be right, evaluate the logical, left brain, reasoning, as well as the intuitive side. And I started, talking about this and getting ready, and I got a lot of pushback from my partner. You're freaking out, you're a little bit too worried, this is kind of overwhelming me, can we stop talking about it, etc. But it all is turning out to be affirmed. So the choices that I was making based on intuition and muscle testing, I can go into more about that if you're curious, are being affirmed. And so kind of lost my train of thought, but basically, yeah, we have to take what available information we do have. We have to feel the intuitive part, and but if there is any sort of like precedent being set with how other places are dealing with this, Italy, I know, is not charging mortgage payments, utilities, and I think that's transferring over into rent payments too. I haven't seen specific information about that, but it would make sense. And
Right.
We have to consider that too, because as I was talking before, like you and I, we've been both essentially running charities that are just like not profitable businesses to produce these creations out into the world that benefit and uplift people. Like, we are not prepared to be shut down for a few months. So when weighing this decision, I really had to think about, and inform my team about, guys, this is it. Like, I don't know when it's going to happen, but if we make this decision now, there's a possibility that financially we can pay the bills for a month or two and come back to all of this, as opposed to if we wait, and even still, it's uncertain. Like, this could be a total like death and rebirth of my project. Like, it could be like a total Phoenix moment. We might have to give up our space to save those rent payments so that I can put everything into storage and come back by the fall. I don't know yet. I'm hoping that won't happen. But I have people who, even though I do the living wage and everything else, I have people that still live paycheck to paycheck that are in massage therapy school right now that like if they don't have their bills paid, like that's a huge anxiety factor to them.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Yes, I recognize that. And I understand where you're coming from. And I really hope this doesn't come off being crass or short, but you are not responsible for their life choice.
Mm-hmm.
You're responsible for your end of your agreement, which is saying, I'm providing space for you to do what you want to do. I am not saying that I am responsible for your well-being or emotional stability. I will contribute with love the best I can, but I'm not responsible. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you see it differently. But I'm not responsible. And I'm responsible for what I say and do. I'm responsible for how I impact others. But for you to say, okay, I am going to give so much to you that